Hi, Satara. Welcome to Her Sports Spotlight. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate your time. So,
Absolutely.
I want to start from the beginning. I want to go all the way back to your childhood.
Yeah.
What is your earliest memory playing football growing up?
Oh, my earliest memory, I think it was probably when my mom introduced football to me. Because a little backstory, I was born in Brooklyn, New York, but I grew up in Austin, Texas, and I moved to Austin when I was 5, and we call it soccer, obviously. So soccer wasn't big in New York. Like I had no idea what it is. I was used to basketball, track and field, all those sort of things, but soccer wasn't a big part of my upbringing at all. So I had no idea what it is. So, going back to your question, I think it was when my mom came home one afternoon and told me that there was a local soccer team in our neighborhood that was doing tryouts, so on and so forth. So my first memory is actually going to the tryout, just being so nervous, but having the support of my parents, just pushing me because of course I didn't know what kind of doors would open. But yeah, that's my first memory.
Yeah, and I mean, talking of obviously your family, home for you, you've grown up and over your career, you've played in both England and America. How would you say that those experiences playing in those different leagues have helped you develop as a player?
That is such a great question. I think with American soccer, obviously there's a huge emphasis on athleticism. One of the biggest attributes that I have as a player is my physicality, my strength, my speed. I think that has been developed and instilled into me from a really young age, from when I first started playing football. Coming over here to England, especially coming straight out of college, where college soccer in America, if you look at it, it is very transitional. And
Yeah.
I was used to that. I had grown up playing like that. And so when I moved over here to England, um, I had to adjust. And it took me a while. It took me the better part of a full season playing with Liverpool, to really adjust to how the game is played out here. I feel like out here there's much of an emphasis on the technical aspect of the game, which it was almost foreign to me because it's not something that we really hone in a bunch in the States. I think now that conversation is starting to be have with they say the rest of the world is catching up with the U.S. women's national team, but I think the reality is that other parts of the world develop players from a really young age, starting with like their technical and their understanding of the game. And when I came over here, that was the biggest adjustment. And I then, funny enough, when I went back over to America, playing over here for the first 4 years of my professional career, I was hoping to kind of take what I learned playing here in England and translate it into the American game, and it just didn't. Which was it was like going back and forth.
Yeah.
So I got the best of both worlds, playing in both countries with two unbelievable leagues. So it was great to kind of learn the game from a different see the game from a different lens coming over here.
Yeah, so to any young players at the moment who are considering or looking playing abroad or away from home, what would
Right.
your advice be to them?
I absolutely say go for it. I'm a huge advocate for playing overseas, and I think the reason why I'm such an advocate for it is because I'm doing it and I've done it, and I realized coming over here, and it doesn't just develop you as a player, but it develops you as a person as well. I was thinking about this as I was driving home earlier this afternoon that I feel like the reason why I struggled a bit when I was playing over in America is because the first half of my 20s I spent over here in England, and the way that things are done out here, the way they think about life out here is different than how we think about life in the States. And my views and the way I looked at life had shifted so much in 4.5 years. And when I went back to the States, again, I'm trying to translate, the stuff that I developed and established over here in England and America, and I just didn't translate at all. But I realized very quickly that I became a much better person living overseas. And I don't think I would have experienced that otherwise. So I always encourage players, if it's something that you're wanting to do, most definitely take that leap because you have no idea what awaits you if you do it.
Yeah, I think everyone always talks about that questions always asked about, what do you prefer, the WSL or the NWSL? And I
Yeah.
don't think anyone can ever answer it. I think they're so different.
They are 100%. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I think it's whatever fits you and fits your game. I've tried the NWSL now twice, and both times it hasn't really worked out for me the way that I wanted it to. And that's why I came back over here to England. And on top of that, I think England is home for me at this point. So, it depends on what kind of player you are and also what kind of experience you're trying to live. I think so many people are fixated on the way that the NWSL is marketed. And so everybody looks at the lifestyle and everybody wants to go out there and live it. But coming from someone that actually has experience, it's completely different, and yeah. So, but you can, if there again, there's not a right or wrong answer on which league is better. I think there are two unbelievable leagues that have grown exponentially over the last 10 years, which is incredible to see.
Yeah. And you have had an incredible career so far with some amazing achievements. What has been your favorite memory so far of your career?
I think it would have to be signing for Liverpool. And I think the reason being is because there really wasn't any ambition to become a professional footballer. When I was in college, the NWSL was like in the really like infantile stages of newness. And so you always heard about like the leagues in America that they were great and then they folded, they were great and they folded, so there was never really that ambition to become a professional. But then when the opportunity with Liverpool had kind of found its way to me, it was unreal. I never thought for one minute that this kid from Austin, Texas would be, playing for a big club like Liverpool, and it happened. So I think that was my greatest accomplishment and achievement thus far in my career.
Yeah, I mean, that leads perfectly into my next question. I was going to reference when you first signed your first professional contract with Liverpool was 2015.
Hmm.
If you could go back to 2015 you and and give one piece of advice that you know now, what would you say?
Oh man, that's a great question. I think it would be always bet on yourself. Because back then, 2015, that was what, almost 10 years ago, women's football wasn't where it was now or where it is now. And it's, back then, I think I did it not thinking about the greatness that can come from it. But there's been times I think throughout my professional career where I've for sure doubted myself and I've doubted my abilities because, just out external forces. And I think sometimes I held myself back when I could have just pushed on and gone for it. So, if I could tell 21-year-old me back in 2015, it would be just bet on yourself because you have absolutely no clue what's behind that door if you open it. So, yeah.
Yeah, and talking of club football and Bristol, obviously this season you guys got promoted at the end of last season. This hasn't been the season that I think everyone wanted for you guys.
Yeah.
And we're coming towards the end of the season now. It'd be very easy for you guys to turn around, kind of give up and be like, we go again next season, you know?
Yeah.
How do you, as a team and personally, stay motivated and focused?
Oh man, it's been for me personally, it's been an extremely difficult season personally. I've just been dealing with injuries since pretty much November of last year, and
Yeah.
it's just been nonstop. And so, you know, it's really difficult to stay motivated when I'm constantly in rehab. But my teammates keep me going, and I think having the support of them has been unbelievable and just you got this out, you keep going, keep going. Now, I think overall for a team, of course, like you said, it wasn't a season that we expected. I think a lot of people had doubted Bristol coming into the season, but I think we've achieved a lot, and I think, yeah, maybe the results haven't come, but it's the work behind it that I don't think people really see that we put in, week out. And we really are here. Yeah, the girls really out there, giving it their all. It's just the WSL. It's a top league and it's top talent, and sometimes when you come up against that, it doesn't always go your way, and that's what's been happening for us throughout the entire season. But I just think we just keep going. You know what I mean? I think we are a bit realistic about what is to come. But I think at this point and at this phase of the season, everybody is just giving it all in. And just I think at this point, it's just having fun with, with what's left of the season. It's got what, maybe 7 weeks left of it. might as well make the most of it and enjoy it while we can. I'm hoping to return hopefully before the end of the season so I can, just enjoy what's left of it. Seeing that I've missed a good portion of it, but yeah, it's just been an unfortunate season. And we've been dealing with injury after injury after injury, so I just think we've been really unlucky this season. But we keep going. It's a very resilient group, and that's one thing you can't fault is our resilience and the way that we keep each other motivated each week.
Yeah, definitely. At the end of last year, though, despite your results, you had a record home attendance of over 14,000, which
Yeah.
is amazing. You've been playing professionally since 2015, like we mentioned earlier.
Mm.
How does that feel to watch the game grow right in front of your eyes?
Oh my God, Ruby, it's unbelievable. I actually look back and I sit back sometimes and I think this is where women's football is, and this is and the trajectory will continue to keep going. It's unbelievable. It's an unbelievable stat line, and it's not just us; it's across the board. You see Arsenal racking in on average, 59, 60,000 fans. It's unbelievable. If you were to ask me this and tell me this 10 years ago, I would have laughed at you and said absolutely not. Because when I was playing for Liverpool, on average, we were racking in maybe 300, 400 fans, so to see that, absolutely just multiplying the way that it has been unbelievable. It's been phenomenal. And I think that's just how women's football is, that's just how it is now. I think, and especially here in England, I think England, the Lionesses, the success that they've had, with the Euros and so on and so forth, it has really put women's football in the WSL like on the map. And now it's attracting so many different so many viewers, and it's attracting a demographic and tapping into a demographic that perhaps we didn't know that we could. So it's wonderful. I'm so proud to see it. And seeing Bristol, we brought in 14,000, nobody thought that would be possible, but hey, we made it happen. So it's impressive.
Yeah, and talk about that. It's obvious you love the club. Obviously, you were there 2021-22
Right.
season. What is it specifically, just to finish, about the club that makes you want to come back? What do you love so much about Bristol?
It's when I came here in 2021, I was in a weird place football wise mentally. I had a pretty bad experience with my first in NWSL, and I took a bit of a hiatus at the beginning of 2021. So pretty much from like January of 2021 up until pretty much like when I came out here. I was in a bit of a weird place. Football really wasn't that fun for me anymore, and it just kind of at this point it was whatever. Something in me ticked where I wanted to come back and I wanted to play, and obviously I knew about Bristol, so and played against them when I played at Liverpool, and but just never really knew much about it. One day my agent calls me and he said, "Hey, Bristol's interested. Are you, would you be willing to go back to England?" It's like, of course, why not? At that point I was saying yes to anything, and I came back here with no expectations. When I left England the first time, there was definitely no uh there was never a thought that I would come back here and play. If anything, to come visit, but to come play, absolutely not. But God has a weird way of working things out. And I came back here and immediately I just fell in love with the club, fell in love with the city. And it just felt like I belonged, and I think that's exactly what I missed when I went back to the NWSL after my first and only season with Bristol, and I missed it, and things with my club at the NWSL also weren't going very well. So everything just kind of aligned really, really well, and I came back here, and I only wanted to come back here, whether or not they were in championship or the Super League. I wanted to come back here because it felt like home. And for me, when a place feels like home, that's where I play my best sort of football. And then that was the reasoning behind coming back here. So I love the city, I love the fans, I love the team. Overall, it's just a great experience. So I'm so happy to be back.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I wish you all the very best for the rest of the season.
Thank you so
Hope
much.
to see you playing again soon.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I will be back.